Morning, y'all. Hope you're all good and in great spirits. Today's video is about what I think was a corrupt system exposing itself. If you follow politics and the news, you're probably aware that MSNBC News is a platform for Democrats, liberal, and leftist policies. You probably also know that Fox News is a platform for Republicans and conservative right wing policies. That's well understood. And such MSNBC News has been bashing Kevin McCarthy for the last several years. They've called out that he's a January 6th denier, that he's not someone who should be in office. Now, let's make something clear. I favor liberal leftist policies, but this is not about my politics. And when I say I favor liberal leftist policies, doesn't mean I blindly support Democrats. In fact, most of the time I spend my time calling out Democrats for hypocrisy around equity and justice. A lot of hypocrisy. And this is another example of that. So when I saw that Stephanie Rule from MSNBC, who I was a fan of, was going to interview Lauren Boebert, who I'm not a fan of, I thought it would be really interesting. And it was way more interesting than what I thought. During the interview, Lauren Boebert, a MAGA darling, said that Kevin McCarthy was unfit for the speakership, that he hadn't accomplished nothing, that she was not voting for him as speaker because it would be a rubber stamp of the system that is corrupt and doesn't provide anything for the people, either the conservatives or the liberals. It's just government as usual. In describing Kevin, Lauren Boebert, a MAGA darling, said we should select someone who can get things done, who can provide value to the people, not who can fundraise the best. In my own life experience, I've called out the nonprofit sector working with government and being all about marketing and fundraising. The folks that can fundraise the most are rubber stamped as the voices of the people. That's how that works as well. So when Lauren Boebert said, I don't want to vote for Kevin just because he's the best fundraiser, that resonated with me. Lauren Boebert also said, when being grilled by MSNBC host Stephanie, why are you holding up the government by not voting for Kevin McCarthy? She seemed pissed. Lauren Boebert, the crazy, she's been portrayed as a crazy, wild, loose cannon of the right, says, this is how democracy is supposed to work. This is how the founding fathers intended it to be. And that's true. Lauren Boebert is using her constitutional rights to push for someone who can accomplish what she wants and not just fundraise. Now, she probably wants something I don't want. It's probably different. But the reason she's not electing Kevin McCarthy, or the reason she said she wasn't electing Kevin McCarthy to the speakership, was that she wants someone who isn't there just for marketing purposes, and that the Constitution written by founding fathers gave her the mechanisms to do that. That really is what a democracy looks like. A dictatorship, she would not have an opportunity to dissent. She would just be crushed. And we don't want a dictatorship. MSNBC Stephanie gave the most childish and just an abhorrent response. In response to Stephanie, she said, yeah, well, they're not here now. Yeah, they are here now. That's what the Constitution is. It's a representation of their thoughts and ideas for how this country could work. They are here, Stephanie. That's called the Constitution. And the fact you said that said a lot about you. Lauren beat you in that interview. As much as every left wing media outlet portrayed it in their thumbnail that Lauren Boebert bashed by angry anchor, everybody celebrated Stephanie as coming down hard on this MAGA villain, and the chat comment ate it up. And I'm sitting there thinking about the people in the chat. Like, did you even watch the interview? Or are you just a mindless sheep that goes by when you're told to? Everything Lauren Boebert said in that interview was what MSNBC news anchors had been saying about him for years. But today, because the MSNBC news anchor was mad that Lauren Boebert was holding up government by not rubber stamping Kevin McCarthy, they said something different. MSNBC went against everything they'd stood for the previous 5 years. Stephanie Rule was shilling for Kevin McCarthy. That's what that interview was. And Stephanie Rule and MSNBC were doing the bidding of the Republican Party. This Democratic left-wing liberal news outlet was pushing to have Kevin McCarthy elected Speaker of the House. Think about that. That is where I think the corrupt system exposed themselves. Now, this doesn't make me run to Lauren and embrace her policies. Again, this is not at all about my political views, who I think would be best. It's about asking you to really think about what people are telling you and interpret it for yourself, to look at what you see and read between the lines. It was mind-blowing that all the liberals in the comments had one or two sentences attacking Lauren Boebert for crazy. I mean, it was very shallow, childish attacks, totally ignoring that Lauren was only saying what they'd been saying for the last 5 years. And today, like that, it switched. Now Kevin was worthy of the speakership, and Lauren was stupid for not voting for him. That's hypocrisy. That's how you get manipulated. MSNBC and your friend, they were pushing for Kevin McCarthy, a January 6th denier, to be elected, making Lauren Boebert look bad for not electing him as Speaker of the House. Think about that. It's really sad how I rarely see people think for themselves. Rarely. I didn't see anyone in that whole comment section thinking for themselves. They saw the thumbnail, Lauren Boebert bashed by news anchor, watched 2 minutes and bashed Lauren as well. And if I bash her, I'll read her policies and bash her for those, for things that matter. I don't blindly follow Stephanie Rule, and I'm no longer a fan. She lost me when she said, well, they're not here now, about the founding fathers. They are here. That's called the Constitution. Yeah, you should watch the video. I'll try to provide a link in the thumbnail, but you can just YouTube search Lauren Boebert, Stephanie Rule, and a million of them come up with a bunch of left-wing outlets celebrating it as some type of victory for the left-wing outlets, when in reality what they were doing, again, was promoting a January 6th denier for Speaker of the House, according to all their rhetoric of the last 5 years. trying to make this not about my politics, but what was actually shown. And if you do know my politics, you know I don't come to the defense of conservatives generally. I don't come to the defense of Democrats either. I do come to the defense of their policies, but this is not about me. Again, it's a corrupt system exposing themselves. When MSNBC shills for Kevin McCarthy, you know they're in cahoots. You know the Fox and MSNBC work together. Have a good one.